Hey y'all! Yesterday we started the series The Magnificent Makers and we're reading the first book called How to Test a Friendship. So we met the characters Pablo, Violet, and Deepak, and they all love science. So at the start of the book, Deepak's actually a new student and he gets seated with Pablo and Violet, and then they start with science during class, and Pablo gets his riddle thrown at him in a crumpled ball, and the three of them figure it out together. And then before they know it, they're being sucked into this telescope into a new place. And before they went, everyone seemed to freeze. So everyone else in the class, including their teacher, were suddenly frozen in place except them. So they got sucked in this telescope and they find this new place, I guess called the Maker Maze, and they meet this lady, Dr. Crisp, who says, "Now let's get started. We have a lot to do before the others wake up." And that's where we stopped. And I was like, who are all these others? So let's see if we're going to find out today. Chapter 3. So what exactly is the Maker Maze? Asked Deepak. The Maker Maze is like a maker space, replied Dr. Crisp, but with a little twist. You mean a big twist, said Pablo. He was still in shock. Last year, their class had gone to a maker space for a field trip. Pablo and Violet actually got to do experiments themselves. They built a bridge out of plastic cups and popsicle sticks, and they tested which combination of vinegar and baking soda could make a bottle rocket fly the highest. Pablo was sure his rocket could have flown into space if it hadn't been for the ceiling. But the Maker Maze was different. It was bigger and had way more fancy gadgets. Dr. Crisp showed them the book she was holding. It was a bright, glittery shade of gold. Pablo reached out and touched it. Bizzap! It prickled his fingers the way the purple light around the telescope had prickled his ears. Just tell the Maker Manual what you want to learn about, Dr. Crisp said. The maze will design a challenge, and you'll have 120 Maker minutes to complete it. 120 Maker minutes, repeated Violet. You bet your pipette, answered Dr. Crisp. That's how long the maze will keep your classmates frozen. She pointed with her pencil to a screen above them. They could see their classroom where everyone was still as stone. And when time runs out, asked Deepak. He gulped. Dr. Crisp sighed. If you can't finish in time, I won't be able to invite you back. Maker Maze rules, she said, tapping the manual. Is it really hard? Asked Pablo. Don't fret, Space Cadet. I choose my makers wisely. I know you all are up for the challenge, said Dr. Crisp. She opened the golden book to a page with just one giant question mark on it. Who'd like to suggest a topic? She asked, smiling. Wait, we're not going to have to do anything dangerous, are we? Asked Pablo. Oh, Pablo, don't be a party pooper. What's the worst that could happen? Said Violet. Deepak giggled. You'll be safer here than in outer space, said Dr. Crisp. She made an M with her 3 middle fingers facing down. Maker's honor, she promised. I guess that would be like this. Maker's honor. Pablo stared at the spaceships on his sneakers. Okay, he said. Let's learn about ecosystems. Nothing happened. The trio looked at Dr. Crisp. She was still smiling. Suddenly, the pages of the Maker Manual began to turn. They turned slowly at first, one by one, then faster and faster. It looked like a tornado was spinning through the book. Finally, they stopped. The page read, Level 1, Food Chain Foursquare. Enter through door number 5 to begin. Dr. Crisp snapped the book shut, grabbed the backpack, and put the Maker Manual inside. Follow me, she said, and took off sprinting down the long hallway. Wait up, shouted Violet. They ran as fast as they could. They passed doors number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dr. Crisp was waiting for them at door number 5. Here we go, said Dr. Crisp. She reached for the doorknob. Hold on, said Pablo. How will we keep track of Maker minutes? With your magnificent Maker watches, of course, said Dr. Crisp. Our what? Asked Violet. Dr. Crisp pointed to the black watches on their wrists. Wow, these are cool, said Violet. The watches had touch screens and a few small buttons. Dr. Crisp was wearing one too. How did these get on our wrists? Pablo whispered. But Dr. Crisp didn't hear him. Let's go, Maker, she said. Their watches vibrated and glowed as they walked through door number 5. The challenge had begun. Chapter 4. Ouch! One of Violet's curls was tangled in a tree branch. Pablo went over to help her. This doesn't look like a maze. We're in the Newburgh Forest, said Violet. How did we get here? Door number 5 was gone. They were standing in the middle of a trail. Dr. Chris tapped the screen on her watch 3 times and swiped left. The forest slid away. They were in a huge white room, and door number 5 was behind them. The maze can make a clone of any place in the world, Dr. Chris explained, but it's only a copy. She tapped her watch 3 times and swiped right. The forest glided back into view. Wow, the trio said all at once. This was a special makerspace. I never thought I would have such a fun first day of school, said Deepak. Yeah, me neither, agreed Pablo. He smiled and patted Deepak on the back. The group followed the trail until it ended at an open field. Here we are, said Dr. Crisp. This is it? Asked Violet. She squinted and pushed a few loose kinks of hair out of her face. She saw nothing but trees, grass, and a few scattered dandelions. Boom, snap, whiz, zap. Pablo, Violet, and Deepak squeezed their eyes shut. A flash of purple light blinded them. When the light faded, there was a giant game board on the ground that looked like a tablet screen. It was divided into 4 squares. Pablo pointed his foot toward one of them. It lit up with a tap of his toe. Dr. Crisp explained the rules. Listen up, makers. A hologram of a living thing from the Newburgh Forest ecosystem will appear in the center of the board. Dr. Crisp pointed at the trio with her pencil. It's up to you to decide what role it plays in the forest food chain. Then you have to move the hologram to the correct square. Floating words and symbols hovered over each section of the board. So to remind ourselves what these words mean, we can look back earlier in the book when they were learning about these words and remind ourselves that producers make their own food from non-living things, so like plants use light, water, and air to make food, while consumers eat other living things, whether that's plants, animals, or both. So like a lion is going to eat other animals. Even if you're eating plants, that's still another living thing. Decomposers like bacteria, fungus, or worms recycle dead plants and animals into nutrients. Larger decomposers like vultures eat dead animals and are called scavengers. So the larger ones are larger decomposers are scavengers. We have that one. It shows a picture of like a vulture. And the smaller ones like worms and bacteria would go under this decomposer category. One more thing, Dr. Crisp added. You won't be able to move the hologram unless you all agree on which square it belongs in. Whenever you're ready, makers. Oh, this is interesting. So teamwork is going to be really important. The word go appeared on their watches. They all tapped them at the same time. Go. All right, we're going to keep reading tomorrow. Let me know what you think is going to happen. And I hope you're also learning a little bit of science along the way.